how we split push and lost the game. So after my first hour, I realized I might suck at Irelia. With a little more experience under my belt, I decided to look for guides on YouTube for the next hour. The problem was, they honestly did more harm than good. Let me explain. Many of the guides talked about how strong Irelia is early with her passive, so play aggressive. Also, she's one of the strongest duelists in the game when played right, so don't be afraid to fight. There were also combos to set up your dashes with your W, which were nice, but were also very intimidating. Anyway, these guides made me want to play Irelia way too aggressively, and looking back, I probably should have watched these guides when I was a little more comfortable on Irelia. With my intro period over, I got on my main, Plat 2 75 LP, in the hopes of hitting Diamond, but there was a problem. Remember how the guide said, also she's one of the strongest duelists in the game when played right, so don't be afraid to fight. Well, I did not play her right. My first game was against a Jax, who is a counter, but is also a skill matchup, so it was still winnable. So I got my 4 stacks on my passive, and died level 1. Yeah, the rest of the game was just me getting blasted in lane, and I ended up going 1-8. But that's fine, it was just my first game, things will get a lot better. Things did not get better. And then they continued to not get better. And by some miracle, I won one of those games, but I definitely didn't deserve it. These games made me realize maybe just running at my opponent head first wasn't always the best idea. These were the hours where I started getting the hang of Irelia and started thinking I could actually hit Diamond. I also started building Gore Drinker's second item instead of Wit's End to help me survive in fights better. Anyway, first up, I was against a Riven, another bad matchup that's also a skill matchup. My first death was mostly just a miscommunication. I wanted to dive Riven, but Pantheon decided to leave, so Riven just ulted me and killed me. A little later, there was a 3v2 fight top where I died, but I did get a kill this time. I then got 4-man dope top and tried to pull off something fancy, but honestly, I should have just saved my flash and let myself die. Seriously, what did I think was gonna happen here? We then won our first major fight in mid lane, and even though I didn't do much, I was just happy to be included. A little later, I got up to P, and when I got back, we'd won the game, so that's cool. My next game against Set was pretty good. I got an early assist because Diana ganked me, even though I played the fight pretty poorly. And then Diana ganked again, and this time, I got the kill. Later, I managed to kill Set in a 1v2 when Teemo ganked. I probably could have queued to the caster minion instead of flashing to get onto Set, but I'll just chalk that up to inexperience. I then earned a kill in the jungle, and then I won a fight top against Set. It was a little closer than it probably should have been, but I got the kill, so it's fine. I messed that up so badly. Unfortunately, this game was all about macro, and even though I did pretty well in lane, we just lost too many objectives around the map. The next game started off shaky, but the enemy Gragas messed up his dive, and then the enemy Kindred just decided to die, I guess. Okay. I then died top because I was so focused on stacking my passive that I completely missed the enemy and Lissandra coming top. Still got an assist though. I then dove the enemy Gragas top lane in what I thought was a pretty good fight, and I could really feel my mechanics coming together. Unfortunately, this game was kind of a team diff. I did pretty well, but we were so far behind, it was already over. My first game was a little weird. I hadn't played against a Yasuo yet, so I didn't realize my E was a projectile, even after it was placed. Anyway, we 3-man ganked Yasuo and killed him, but he did get a kill, so that wasn't great. We then fought for Rift Herald, but it got stolen, and I actually managed to get a kill here, but died because Yasuo flashed after me. There was then a fight in the river where I managed to get 2 kills, but at this point, morale was pretty low, and my team was not impressed. A little later, Yasuo started chasing me, and I barely beat him in a 1v1 because he missed his wind wall. Holy shit, dude. I then went for this sick play mid where I ulted all 3 enemies and dashed around killing everyone. But got absolutely demolished because it was honestly a really stupid plan. We then lost a fight around Baron and proceeded to lose the game. The next game was against another Riven, and the early game was super close. 3 minutes in, both junglers ganked, and even though I died, Ivern killed Riven and Azir killed Rengar. Later, Ivern pings, he's on his way top, so I bait Riven into going in, and we get another kill. Then it was my turn to mess up a dive. I was honestly surprised by my own damage here, so I flashed a little late and ended up dying. But luckily, I made up for it by solo killing Riven a little while later, even though she had Ignite. The main problem this game was we could not kill the fed Kog'Maw. Janna would always keep him alive, so ultimately we lost the game. The next game was the craziest one of this whole challenge. We literally had a full 4v4 fight in the topside jungle by just slowly auto-attacking each other, and somehow I managed to end up 2-0-2. Unfortunately, a little later, Yasuo outplayed the fuck out of me with his bullshit wind wall, then his ult, and then he dodged my ult. After that, I ended up at a fight for Rift Herald, while the enemy Jhin got a double kill bot, by the way, and we managed to win the fight, get Rift Herald, and get the top tower as well. I then outplayed Yasuo by just auto-attacking him to death, which was nice. And in the end, even though I did pretty well, this game was mostly won by Nocturne, who could one-shot anyone he wanted to with his ult. My main issue at this point was learning how to actually use my lead to help win fights, because trying to get these big ults was not working. These were the final games to see if I had truly mastered Irelia and to see once and for all if I could hit Diamond. So what better way to test my skills than against another Riven skill matchup? She immediately dove me and killed me with Ignite. But it's okay, because I have TP and Gragas cleaned up the kill. A little later, Gragas and I miss absolutely everything in a gank that we will never speak of again. And because I no longer had my ult, Riven ended up killing me about a minute.
Bem-vindo a Summer's Rift. Segundos para a liberação das tropas.
Isso vai ser divertido.
Tropas liberadas.
Lá vamos nós.
First Blood. Você foi eliminado.
Marche, marche, marche.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Um aliado foi eliminado.
Chegue um pouco mais perto.
Você foi eliminado.
Marche, 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 marche.
가슴. Aquele reset ficou embaixo da sua parada.
Chegue
E pega, vê se não pega nada.
Se sentindo só, posso ajudar.
Impetuosa.
Você foi eliminado.
Marche, marche, marche.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
O que te faltou em força?
Não, que nada horrendo.
Você é a
O
piada.
inimigo foi eliminado. Um aliado foi eliminado. Double kill.
Agora não vê mais.
Neutralizado.
Chegue um pouco mais perto. Isso vai ser divertido. E lá vamos nós. Marche, 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 marche.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Você é a piada.
As coisas que eu vou fazer com você.
Agora você me vê.
Eu vou esse
Agora
cara,
não
não.
vê mais.
Caramba.
E lá vamos.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Um inimigo foi eliminado. foi inimigo. O inimigo foi eliminado. Neutralizado.
Vai ser divertido. Agora você
Inimigo enfurecido. Quem foi eliminado?
Isso vai ser divertido. E lá vamos nós.
Killing spree. O inimigo foi eliminado.
Você é a piada aqui.
Neutralizado.
Agora não vê mais. Você é a piada aqui.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Chegue um pouco mais perto. Onde afaste?
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Vamos, 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 vamos.
Neutralizado. Um aliado foi eliminado. Sua torre foi destruída. A barricada vai cair em breve.
Vamos nós.
Inimigo enfurecido.
Marche, 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 marche.
Sua torre foi destruída.
Protocolo Peacemaker iniciado.
Você é a piada aqui. Agora você me vê. Agora não vê mais. Chegue um pouco mais perto.
Killing spree inimiga. Sua torre foi destruída.
Só pra você. Ajoelhe.
Quero ver que faz isso aqui.
O inimigo foi eliminado. Neutralizado.
E lá vamos nós. Marche, 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 marche. Você é a piada aqui.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Isso vai ser
O inimigo está implacável.
agora não vê mais.
O inimigo foi eliminado. Você foi eliminado. O inimigo está dominando.
Isso vai ser
O inimigo foi eliminado. Double kill.
agora você me vê. Agora não vê mais.
Sua torre foi destruída.
É a piada aqui.
Neutralizado. Sua torre foi destruída. Sua equipe destruiu uma torre. Um aliado foi eliminado.
Marche, marche!
Killing spree.
Expulsando as sombras.
É a piada aqui!
Vem pertinho.
Ninguém foi eliminado.
Chegue um pouco mais perto. Isso vai ser divertido.
Você foi eliminado. Um inimigo se tornou. Inimigo foi eliminado. Um aliado foi eliminado. O inimigo se tornou lendário.
E lá vamos nós.
Só pra você.
Killing spree inimiga. Neutralizado.
Você é a piada aqui. Agora você me vê. Agora não vê mais.
Killing spree inimiga.
Chegue um pouco mais perto. Chegue um pouco mais perto.
Neutralizado. Você foi eliminado.
puxar o gatilho.
Vem perto.
Você é a piada aqui.
O inimigo foi eliminado. Um aliado foi eliminado. Double kill. Um aliado foi eliminado. Você foi eliminado. Sua torre foi destruída.
Cara fundo de nós. Puta que pariu, mano.
Seu inibidor foi destruído.
Que nojo.
Sua torre foi destruída. Sua torre foi destruída. Derrota.
Minute later. We then won a fight for Rift Herald where I almost died but barely got away. Unfortunately, so did the Kaisa. Then there was a fight mid we won pretty hard, which basically just won us the game. I'm sad to say I didn't really do too much this game. I didn't lose us the game or anything, but I kind of just existed. The next game though, I really popped off. I was against a Kale, so I knew I would need to shut her down early. So I killed her over and over and over again. But by the time I got my 5th kill, we were losing 19-8. I did everything I could to win this game, but in the end, it wasn't enough. Arguably, I tried to take too many fights, but when you're down this far, sometimes you gotta just send out a few Hail Marys. And with that, it all came down to this. My final game, and once again, I was against a Riven. No way I lose to another Riven. How am I already dead? Wait, I got a kill. Then I got 2v1 top lane and got another kill, even though I died again. And then there was a fight mid where I got another kill, and then died again. I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. Anyway, we had a big fight for Rift Herald and won because Echo did crazy damage, and that was kind of the story of this whole game. In fact, the Echo did so much damage that while I was split pushing bot, he basically killed the whole enemy team and we just won the game. A kinda anticlimactic end, but a win is a win. So, is Irelia a no-skill champion? Fuck no, she's one of the hardest champions in the game, but I did manage to get a lot better over the 10 hours. I'm going to play Irelia for 10 hours to prove she takes no skill. I mean, let's be real. All Irelia players really do is roll their face on the keyboard and dash around a bunch. I mean, it sure looks cool, but how hard is it really? Could I hit Diamond by playing Irelia for 10 hours? First, I decided to look up the most common builds and runes for Irelia, and here's what I learned. You pretty much always want Conqueror as your primary rune, and your secondary is usually Resolve to help survivability. And your build is usually Blade of the Rune King, Wit's End, Jock Show, followed by 2 flexible items. I'm going to play Singed for 10 hours to see how good he is. I mean, I see so many Singed players proxy every wave, run around doing tons of damage, all while being unkillable. So let's see how good he is in 10 hours. First, I decided to look up the most common build and runes for Singed, and here's what I found. You usually want Conquer as your primary rune, but this can be very flexible based on matchup. Your build usually consists of Demonic Embrace, Rylai's, and a mythic item. Then you either go for tanky items for more frontline or damage if you're really far ahead. The mythic items can also be really flexible with Rod of Ages, Riftmaker, Radiant Virtue, Leandre's, and Jockshow all being viable options. And as a final note, you don't need Grievous Wounds on Singed because your ult gives it to you on your poison. So to start, I decided to play on my Plat Smurf to learn how Singed worked. I died immediately, and not only did I die, but I did not even have my poison on. A little later, I do kill Gangplank, but it was probably one of the worst fights ever. Long story short, I didn't auto-attack Gangplank, so not only did it lose me damage, but it also taught me a valuable lesson. I learned that poison won't stack Conqueror on its own because it's not a separate ability each time, so you have to auto-attack in between to get Conqueror stacks. A little later, I run at Gangplank, flip him, and watch him slowly die to my poison. Then, Karthus and I dive Akali top and get a kill. A little later, I sadly died to Gangplank because I just didn't expect his damage. I could have flashed away and lived, but I just didn't expect his barrel to kill me. And that was basically the beginning of the end. Our Karthus started flaming everyone to just let him scale, and we slowly started losing fights until we lost the game. The next game was against another Gangplank, but I was a lot more prepared this time. Since Gangplank has a weak level 1, I used my poison to get level 2 fast and then flashed onto Gangplank to kill him.
Yes!
Sorry. A little later, I pushed Gangplank out of lane, and while trying to proxy, I died to Viego because I forgot the tower still hits me if Viego is poisoned. But it's fine, a little later I flipped Gangplank under the tower and killed him again. But in the end, we surrendered at 15 minutes because the game was 7-19. The next game, I was against an Alawi, another top laner who was super weak early, so I used my poison to hit level 2 and killed her just like I did to the Gangplank last game. Later, I kill her again by just running her down with my ult. Since my ult gives me Grievous Wounds, I knew there was no way she could out-sustain me in a fight. I then tried to force a fight at Rift Herald, which we were not in position to do, and I died while killing Echo, which I guess is worth. Then we fought at Dragon, and the enemy team surrendered because the score was 23-4. So after my first few games, I realized Singed might be harder than I thought. So after a few games, I went to YouTube to learn a few things about Singed. And if you search Singed on YouTube, only one name pops up. ManishCap1. And after watching a bunch of his videos, I learned a lot, but the main things were: 1. Always turn on your poison. Yes, even the best Singed players in the world sometimes forget to turn it on. 2. Proxy when the time is right. If you proxy too much, you can get ganked and die, but if you don't proxy at all, your laning phase is super weak. And 3. Pay attention to your mana. Turn off poison when you can because you are very mana hungry early. Well, time to plan my main. I started at Emerald 33 LP. Let's see how well I do. My first game was against a Gwen, and well, I kind of inted. But look, I was ganked for my first 3 deaths, and my last death, I just randomly alt-tabbed for some reason. It's okay, I'm weak side, the rest of my team is doing a lot better. A little later, we destroyed the enemy team in a big team fight, and even though I didn't do too much, I got a couple of important flips that led to kills. Then we won another fight where I actually managed to chase down the enemy and kill not 1, but 2 enemies, and then get a tower after that. Then, out of nowhere, we lost 1 fight even though I killed the enemy ADC, and we lost the entire game out of nowhere. The next game went even worse. I was against another Gwen, and I basically inted again. I really have nothing to say about this game other than I probably should have been reported. The next game starts off with a super close fight top that we barely win. Then my jungler ganks again, and we kill Garen again, which puts me super far ahead. A little later, there was a big fight mid. It was all over the place, with kills everywhere, Soraka randomly disconnecting in the middle of it, and eventually I got a fadeaway kill with my poison. And after a couple of back and forth fights, it all came down to this final fight at Baron. I ulted, I flipped the A-Soul, I started running around doing tons of damage. Oh my god, my poison was not on. I mean, thank goodness my team carried this fight and won the game. But we will never talk about this fight ever again, okay? I'm serious, this never...
Bem-vindo a Summer's Rift.
E lá vamos nós.
30 segundos para a liberação das tropas.
Isso vai ser divertido.
Tropas liberadas.
Você é a piada aqui. Agora não vê mais.
First blood. Um aliado foi eliminado. Você foi eliminado.
Agora não vê mais.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Um inimigo foi eliminado. Double kill.
Você é a piada aqui. Onde atrás de você? Chegue um pouco mais perto. E lá vamos.
Killing spree inimiga.
Marche, 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 marche. Agora você me vê. Agora
Inimigo foi eliminado. Neutralizado. Inimigo enfurecido.
Agora você me vê. Agora
O inimigo foi eliminado. Killing spree inimiga.
chegue um pouco mais perto. Isso vai ser divertido.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Você é a piada aqui. Você é a piada
O
aqui.
inimigo foi eliminado.
Chegue um pouco mais. Poderia por gentileza parar. Onde atrás de você? Marche, 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 marche.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Agora você vê mais.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Um inimigo foi eliminado.
Uma espada quebrada é mais do que o necessário para ti.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Pouco mais perto.
Um inimigo foi eliminado. Killing spree.
Isso vai ser divertido.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Você foi eliminado. Neutralizado. Double kill.
Você me vê?
Um inimigo foi eliminado. Um aliado foi eliminado.
E lá vamos.
Um aliado foi eliminado. A barricada vai cair em breve. Você foi eliminado. Killing spree inimiga. Double kill. Inimigo enfurecido. Sua torre foi destruída.
Você é a piada aqui.
Killing spree inimiga. Você foi eliminado. Sua universal implacável.
Agora você me vê. Agora não vê mais.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Isso vai ser.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Neutralizado.
A fome me deixa no grau.
Killing spree inimiga.
Marche, 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 marche.
Sua equipe destruiu o motor.
Isso vai ser divertido.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
E lá vamos nós. Isso vai ser divertido.
Sua equipe destruiu o motor. Neutralizado.
Você é a piada aqui.
Killing spree inimiga.
Chegue.
Neutralizado. Um aliado foi eliminado. Double kill. Um aliado foi eliminado.
Kaiser é muito chorão, cara. Que
Marche, 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 marche.
chato. Não para de chorar, mano.
Agora você me vê, agora não vê mais.
Um aliado foi eliminado. Aced. Killing spree inimiga.
Cara ruim, que cara ruim. Deus. O Pokémon de Silvestre.
Isso vai ser divertido.
Sua torre foi destruída.
Você me vê, agora não vê mais.
Neutralizado. Killing spree inimiga. Você foi eliminado.
Tá bom que esse maluco acertou isso. Tá bom. Tá bom. Não é possível.
Sua torre foi destruída.
Você é a piada aqui.
Um aliado foi eliminado.
Chegue um pouco mais perto.
Inimigo está invencível. Um aliado foi eliminado. Inimigo foi eliminado. Sua torre foi destruída. Neutralizado. Seu inimigo foi destruído. Inimigo enfurecido.
Caramba.
Aumenta! Marche, 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 marche! Você é a piada!
O inimigo foi eliminado. O inimigo foi eliminado. O inimigo se tornou lendário. O aliado foi eliminado. Double kill. destruído. Seu inibidor foi destruído.
Com certeza.
Sua torre foi destruída. Sua torre foi destruída. Você foi eliminado.
Legal, o cara pensar.
Enfurecido. Double kill. Double kill. Ace. O inimigo foi eliminado. Sua torre foi destruída. Seu inibidor foi destruído. Sua torre foi destruída.
Never happened. These games made me realize how weak of a laner Singed is, but it also made me realize how great he is at setting up ganks if the jungler comes to help. Now, normally I do these segments in 2-hour groups, but this game was so crazy it needed its own hour. First of all, I was against one of my biggest counters, Kennen. But things actually went off to a pretty good start when Evelyn ganked and I got an early assist. Then she ganked again and got me another early assist. With that early lead, I was kind of just able to run down Kennen and kill him. But I stayed too long for plates and died to Kha'Zix, and uttered my famous last words. There's no way Kha'Zix carries this, right? Now, let's pause for a second. At this point, we were ahead 14-4, I was smashing one of my biggest counters, and my team scales pretty well. I truly thought this game was unlosable. Fast forward 10 minutes and the game was 23-17. All of a sudden I realized if I wanted to win this game, I was gonna have to carry the fuck out of this game. Later, I see an opening and start a huge fight mid because the enemy Vladimir was bot lane. But no matter what I did, I couldn't stop my team from starting a 4v5 fight without me. And just 2 minutes later, we lost another big fight. And then our Evelyn tried to 1v4 instead of just helping me defend the base, so we lost. Psych! My team respawned and the enemy team overstayed, so when my ult came up, I ran at them. We aced the enemy team and we could finally end this miserable game. Until the enemy team respawned and we were the ones who overstayed. After fighting tooth and nail, the enemy team finally got Elder, killed my team, and won the game. Psych again! Senna and I held it down 2v3, and after the Evelyn came up, we managed to wipe the enemy team and it saved the game again. Then, my Evelyn decided to try and 1v5 the enemy team, but then she got out! Just to go back in and lose us the fucking game. Oh, and to make matters worse, Katarina tried to 1v4 for literally no reason. Somehow we managed to kill Kha'Zix, but it was still a 3v4, we had no turrets left, and no amount of anime protagonist energy was gonna save me from this one. But then, instead of ending the game, the enemy team just left? And while the enemy team was taking our jungle, Evelyn traded 1-for-1 with the enemy Zeri, and I knew this was our moment to end the game. I used my ult, flipped Soraka, and then I flipped Kennen. And even though the enemy team got Baron, it didn't matter. We fought the enemy 4v2 and finally managed to win the game. Holy shit, I'm gonna need a break after that one. Okay, so the next game started off kind of bad. I got hit by Shyvana's E right before Fiddlesticks ganked and barely died because of it. But then I baited Shyvana into chasing me and flipped her under tower to get my first kill. Then Fiddlesticks and I died trying to dive Shyvana, and right when it seemed like Master Yi was gonna get away, he actually died to Rift Herald, which was pretty funny. Anyway, most of this game I was on Shyvana split push duty, which means I was keeping her from winning the game while the rest of my team did the actual work. And while I was killing Shyvana for the 10th time or something, my team decided to just win the game. The next game was really stupid. It started with me getting 3-man dove. I thought my poison was in range for the Fiddlesticks assist, but no gold for me, I guess. Then Nunu came back again, but luckily I was able to ult and run away. Then he missed a snowball trying to dive me, which was pretty funny, but then they actually dove me for real and I died this time. And after 10 minutes, Nunu was still in my lane. Luckily, my mid and jungle decided to finally help out and we managed to kill them both. And for the rest of the game, I was on Scion split push duty. Honestly, it was probably for the best because I was super behind from my laning phase from hell. And we won, even though I did basically nothing. The next game was against another hard counter, Quinn. Luckily for me, she decided to try to dive at level 3 and just die. Then there was a 2v2 top where I managed to get 2 kills. Then I started a fight bot and shut down the enemy bot lane, and followed it up by barely winning a team fight 30 seconds later. A little later, we won a big fight at Rift Herald, and at this point I realized I was ridiculously tanky against their pretty much all AD team. Then it all came down to the last fight, a big Baron fight where Seraphine and MF completely missed their ults. And I was so exhausted dragging my team this far, I thought, fuck it, I'll do it myself. But you see, we didn't have to lose here. We could have just reset, but instead MF walked into melee range of the enemy team and my team tried to fight a 4v5. This was by far the most tilting game of this challenge and I was just happy to be out. And now we were on to the final games of the challenge and it was time to finish strong. The first game started with Darius waiting in a bush and it stopped me from being able to proxy. But a little later, I managed to trade 1-for-1 with Darius, which was worth because he missed a wave. I know my poison wasn't on when I flashed back in, but I got the kill, okay? I then tried to 1v1 Darius again because I thought the grievous wounds on my ult would allow me to kill him. I was wrong. But then out of nowhere, our Hecarim decided to 1v5 and die. The enemy team got Baron, and then they just pushed into our base and won the game. The next game started off pretty well. We barely won a 2v2 top lane and the wave was pushing into me so Nasus would lose CS. Then I hit 6 and ran at the enemy Nasus. He tried to flash away but luckily Jarvan was there to clean up the kill. I then got ganked top and got both Nasus and Nocturne so low that Jarvan was able to clean up a double kill. But in the end, morale was super low after losing a big fight top lane and we kinda just surrendered. It was just a huge mental boom, I guess. And finally, we were on to our final game and it was against an Alawi. I didn't even try to proxy this lane because I had a plan. Remember the beginning of this challenge when I hit level 2 first and killed Alawi? Well, I did it again. Then we tried to gank Alawi, and even though we killed her, Sejuani showed up and killed both of us. A little later, I flipped Alawi under tower and barely killed her again. But that's when things started going downhill. I got dove by Sejuani, our team lost a fight at Rift Herald, and in the end we lost the game because we just didn't have the damage to kill Sejuani and Alawi, so we kinda just lost the game. Honestly, every single one of these last 4 games was winnable, but a mix of tilt and unlucky fights caused me to lose 4 straight games to end this challenge. In the end, I went from Emerald 33 LP to Emerald 0 LP. So, is Singed a good champion? Honestly, I don't know. You see, Singed isn't like any other champion in League of Legends. Sometimes you feel unstoppable, proxy farming, running around in team fights and getting picks with your flip. But other times, the enemy just waits for you at level 1 so you can't proxy, and then all of a sudden, you're one of the weakest champions in the game. Anyway, hope you enjoy, and let me know what This is
Lux, and over the next 10 hours I'm gonna learn how to play her. The plan is simple: try her in normals, research how to improve, and finally play her in ranked. Throughout this video I'm gonna have some highs and a lot of lows. Let's see how I do. So you're probably wondering, Ecor, how do you get so freaking good at these champions in just 10 hours? Well, it's because of today's sponsor, Porofessor. It is a free app that gives you... To start, I needed to look up the most common build and runes for Lux for both mid and support. This will be important later. Basically, if you're going mid, go First Strike for scaling and damage, and if you're support, take Arcane Comet for poke and lane. For your build, both roles build pretty much the same. Your mythic is usually Ludens, and the rest of your build is typical long-range mage stuff, you know, like Deathcap, Shadow Flame, Hourglass, stuff like that. You can also build Medjais, but it's a little bit risky, only build that if you're ahead. My first game did not go very well at all. And after dying a bunch, I realized I use my Q way too aggressively. Basically, as soon as I waste my Q, there's nothing stopping my opponent from just jumping in and killing me. Luckily this game, Graves was able to 1v4 during the final dragon fight, and after completely destroying the enemy team, they just surrendered. But my next game somehow went even worse for me. Honestly, a lot of my issues were caused by my own bad plays. Bad map awareness and just not realizing how squishy I am led to a lot of early deaths. So yeah, we lost this game pretty quickly. And I wish I could say game 3 started off better, but that would be a lie. But I swear, this game I didn't actually feed. Eventually I started helping out in fights, and after landing a few Qs in a row, we actually managed to win our first team fight. And our comeback continued after I got a huge flank in our next big team fight. Unfortunately, my Q only hit MF, I missed Warwick, but luckily it didn't matter. Then the enemy team tried to do Baron after winning a huge team fight, but Cho'Gath and I weren't gonna let that happen. Not only did we steal Baron, but we also got 2 kills. And then we won another fight after catching out the enemy Galio. At this point, Cho'Gath was an unkillable monster who could just walk at the enemy team with no fear, so our win was pretty much guaranteed. And a few minutes later, we barely won another fight. I actually played this fight super badly. I just sat in MF's ult the whole time. I should have flashed way sooner, but we barely managed to win because of Cho'Gath. Seriously, I basically tanked this entire MF ult like an idiot. Why didn't I just flash away? But in typical League of Legends fashion, our super fed Cho'Gath got caught top lane. Then the enemy team got Baron, Dragon Soul, and killed the rest of us a few seconds later. And just like that, we lost this game too. So after a few disappointing games on Lux, I went to YouTube to look up some guides. The main things I learned were 1. Don't just throw out my Q. Use it to follow up other CC or surprise the enemy from out of vision. 2. I was playing around my first strike way too much early game. Basically, I was walking up to start bad fights just to get first strike off. 3. I have to play way safer in lane because I have no mobility, which means one wrong move means I die instantly. And 4. Using my ult to clear waves and roam is a great way to open up the map and force your lane opponent to just farm under tower. With this extra knowledge under my belt, my final normal game got off to a great start. And it only got better from there after getting a solo kill on Victor. In this game, nothing could stop me. I did so much damage, we were able to get picks and win fights before the enemy could even react. So yeah, I went off and got a couple more kills. And then at around the 24-minute mark, I realized just how much damage Lux can do. Seriously, where the fuck did the enemy bot lane go? This is way too much damage. Then we won another fight where I got a couple more kills, and there was nothing the enemy could do with the amount of damage I was doing. I'm starting to feel a little bad for the Melio this game. But out of nowhere, my entire team died and the enemy team started doing Baron. So I just stole it and got the fuck out of there. And after getting one more kill on Melio,
I hope he knows he's dead.
we just won the game. And with that, I was on to some ranked games. So after an amazing game 4, there was no way I would lose game 5, right? Wrong. It all started with a weird Darius gank. I think he was trying to make sure the enemy team didn't dive me, but he went in a little bit too far. And since I didn't want to fight in the first place, I showed up late, lost the Yasuo kill, and then ended up dying myself. Luckily, the enemy Swain walked up a little too far, and I managed to get a pick, bringing me back into the game. A little later, Darius went in on another fight that was less than ideal. At least we got a kill this time. And just when the enemy team got Baron and it all seemed lost, I got a great Q from behind a wall and actually managed to win a big team fight. And then we won another huge fight. I used my ult a little bit too early on MF, but in the end, it didn't matter. We killed 4 of them without losing a single member of our team, and the comeback actually was starting to look possible. Until a few minutes later when we immediately lost a fight in our base. So after a mediocre first game with some ups and downs, I went into my next game cautiously optimistic, just to immediately die because I have no map awareness. But it's okay, after about 15 minutes of farming, I got pretty strong and there was a fight in the mid lane where I actually did something. And by actually did something, I mean almost died not once, but twice. In the end, this game was a bit of a team diff. My Caitlyn was able to literally 3-shot the enemy Briar, so it was pretty much a wrap. But hey, sometimes you win games because you have the better team. And I sucked my next game too. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, this is the most tilted I have been during one of these challenges. I didn't even want to finish it. Obviously, I was playing Lux badly, but I just felt like her kit didn't match up to other mid laners very well. No matter what I did, it just felt like other mid laners had really good mobility, which made it impossible to land skill shots, or just way longer range and they can kill me from almost off my screen. And I'll admit, I probably should have taken a break at this point before playing my next game. And after feeding for my 4th game in a row, that's exactly what I did after this loss. I took a much needed break. So after getting off for the night and getting on the next day refreshed, I immediately started having better results. Not only was I winning lane, but I was also roaming and helping my bot lane get kills too. Then there was a big fight bot lane where I TP'd. If I positioned a little better, this Jarvan ult would have been a crazy wombo combo with me, but at least we managed to go 2 for 2 here. But unfortunately after that we decided to fight a 4v5, and even though Xayah went crazy, it just wasn't enough to win the fight without Ornn. Luckily, we managed to bounce back in the next big team fight a few minutes later. This fight was pure chaos. Jarvan dove deep into the enemy team trying to kill the Aphelios, and the enemy Camille did the same thing to us trying to kill Xayah. Then, while we were trying to finish off Aphelios, Katarina had time to back and then TP back into the fight, and somehow I barely managed to kill her in the end. And even though the game was super close, it unfortunately came down to one single team fight at the end, which we ended up losing. I will admit in this final fight I panicked a little bit and just threw out my abilities without aiming, but even though I didn't do too much, I don't think I'm the reason I lost the fight. We were gonna lose anyway. You know what? I was pretty happy with that last game. Sure, we didn't win, but I actually think I did pretty well other than that final fight. And my next game started off pretty well, getting an assist after a fight at Rift Herald. Then I secured a kill during a fight in the bot lane. Then Akshan and Janna tried to dive me, but luckily Senna was there to save my life after the tower died. At around the 23-minute mark, there was a big fight at Baron. It started with a pick on Janna and then a kill on Kennen off screen. Then after we started Baron, the enemy team tried to fight 3v5. We managed to win the fight, but Akshan did revive Kennen. And just when we thought all the action was over, Kennen and Janna, who died at the start of the fight by the way, came back and we managed to kill Kennen again. A few minutes after that crazy fight and not getting Baron unfortunately, we won another fight in the mid lane. And by we, I mean Hecarim. Anyway, a little after that fight, we just won the game. So it's no secret that I have hated playing Lux mid, so for the final 2 hours, I decided to try her in support, because that's the role more people play her in anyway. And without the pressure of trying to be like a carry role in the mid lane, I started playing a lot better. And because I was no longer one of the main threats on my team, all of a sudden it was a lot easier to land skill shots and be impactful in fights because people were just paying less attention to me. And even though I had less gold, I was still able to do some solid damage. Sure, I couldn't one-shot people with my ult like in that Melio game, but I was able to do a lot more damage than a normal support should be able to do. And if I landed my full combo, I was still able to 100-0 people, which is ridiculous for a support by the way. Anyway, we won the game and I was starting to realize why people like playing this champion in support. And all that doesn't even include her early kill pressure. Sure, I died here, but they were already half HP because of my poke early game and Jhin got a double kill. Anyway, a little later we got another kill bot when Talon roamed from mid. I think my main issue playing Lux is just my playstyle. I am not used to playing mages like this. I normally play tanks and bruisers, so I just didn't understand how squishy I was. Around the 26-minute mark, the enemy team caught us out in a bad position with low HP, and yet somehow we were able to turn it into a pretty big one fight. After a couple throws back and forth, the enemy team managed to actually sneak Baron, and even though I accidentally walked up a little too far here, we somehow managed to win the fight even with Tristana's GA. And for the final fight, I baited the enemy team into a fight where they had no vision, and our Echo and Jin basically just destroyed the enemy team. And just like that, another support game and another win. And the final game was absolutely crazy. It started off with an early kill on Lee Sin in 1 minute, followed by the enemy bot lane trying to cheese us in a bush, just for Kha'Zix to come and clean up 2 more kills. This Kha'Zix was 3-0 at 2 minutes. Then a minute later, we got another kill bot lane, even though Ashe had to die. Then
Venham comigo, irmãos e irmãs.
Bem-vindo a Summer's Rift. Segundos para a liberação das tropas.
Por meu pai, o rei.
Tropas liberadas.
Descansar quando morrermos. Derrubem as tropas inimigas!
First blood. Vitória!
And I killed MF under her tower, and even though I died, I denied her a lot of CS, and Nautilus flashed. Unfortunately, Ashe died again. But then it was time for the enemy team to get a little bit of revenge on us, so they dove us and killed Ashe, even though I was able to kill up 1 extra kill. Also, can we just take a second to appreciate that I am a support Lux, absolutely deleting this poor MF? Like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, a few minutes later, we set up a trap in a bush. I baited Nautilus to hook me, and after that, we won another fight. Oh yeah, I also killed MF again, too. And yeah, a few minutes later, the enemy team just surrendered. Overall, Lux felt way better in support than mid. Her lack of mobility is just so much easier to be punished in mid lane if you get ganked, and I feel like other mid laners just are way more versatile. That being said, her poke and kill pressure in support makes her great for winning lane early, and I definitely understand why so many people like playing her support. There is just a lot less pressure because you aren't a solo laner, and because of that, it allows you to land more skill shots and do a lot more damage. Let me know who you want to see next in the comments.
Sinta tudo isso agora no PlayStation 5.
So what happens is, these low-elo redditors, they play their silly little game on their silly little PC, and then they queue up into a Riven, who's fucking challenger, and then they're like, what the fuck? And then they go on their silly little Reddit page, and they're like, Riven is OP. Nobody picks Riven. Champion is dog. Riot responds to huge Riven controversy.
Alright, today we've got a pretty expansive controversy to cover involving Riven and her fast Q mechanic. Just in case you weren't aware, I'm a Riven one-trick and have been for around 9 to 10 years now, and have seen her in her strongest metas and her weakest. The reason I'm even making this video today is actually pretty random. A League subreddit post complaining about Riven's fast Q mechanic got 4k upvotes and even elicited a response from one of the League of Legends gameplay leads, Froxon, but the post author is an alleged Soraka main. Before I begin to share everything I have, we need to actually unpack the post because some viewers mightn't have read it or seen it. As always, there'll be timestamps on the video timeline if you've already seen the post and just want to skip through. So the first section throws out some stats saying she's at a 3% popularity in Emerald Plus with a negative win rate, but has no room for buffs. Quote, she used to be at a 25% popularity. This is just completely untrue. One of Riven's strongest ever metas was in Season 10, and her core build was Black Cleaver into Death Dance into Guardian Angel every game, and it was purely carried by Death Dance being beyond broken at the time. Riven was not and has never had a pick rate of 1 in 4 games. I should also add that her old popularity being higher is also attributable to other appealing champions being released recently. Back in the game, if you wanted to carry top laner, there was Riven, Jax, Old Fiora, and Old Aurelia. Nowadays, there's Gwen, Set, Cassante, Aatrox, Olaf, Kled, Pantheon, New Fiora, and Aurelia, Yone, hell, even Garen's seeing a lot of play, and the list goes on. This inadvertently is going to dilute her popularity.
Aurelia?
There's more variety.
He must carry top laner. He must have been playing with me then, I guess. If he talks about carry top laners and he mentions Aurelia.
And frankly, champions that just do her job with less effort, which is obviously extremely appealing if your goal is climbing and becoming a well-rounded top laner. The next part of the post addresses the actual fast Q mechanic, which is kind of what started all this, saying that Riven is too hard of a champion to pick up. Quote, Riven is too difficult for a reasonable league champion because of one mechanic, fast Q. The author also says, quote, it feels like thousands of gold worth of attack speed, it's so big the difference. I watched another video on this topic by the British Poro, an EU West Riven player who likened the fast Q to providing Riven with maybe a dagger and a half worth of attack speed, which is more accurate. But the main thing to note is it's only applicable to 2 autos per 13 seconds. It's not like the gold value is permanently on her just because you know how to do fast Q. It's heavily situational. Riven never ever uses Q 1, 2, and 3 aggressively, or you're getting auto to death by Jax, Darius, Fiora, or Set. The author also touches on Riven's competitive viability and how no pros want to learn it because she's too hard, which is again completely false. Riven's competitive viability, or lack thereof, is kit-based. A competitive top lane champion needs to tick a lot of boxes to even be considered getting picked. A few of these, for example, is a champion's ability to generate lane priority, is blind pickable, has self-sufficiency and sustain, is hard to dive, and on the flip side can set up dives, provides utility in team fights, or is a proficient split pusher. Riven's 1 to 3 priority is 50-50. Riven has countless absolute shutout matchups that when 2 champions are piloted at an elite level would give Riven no room to breathe, like Kennen and Renekton, and she would honestly only really ever be picked on last pick in alignment with a tank-engaged jungler like Jarvan or Vi, in which case the enemy top is already getting more value through their first base Tabby buy. Riven has no self-sufficiency or sustain and is very easy to dive. She has average diving and provides no utility other than a 0.25 second knock-up and a 0.75 second stun and a split.
Don't care, nerf Riven. I mean, I think a big problem with Riven, it's not the Q mechanic. Nobody cares about the Q mechanic. The problem with Riven is her E, right? We can all agree that. That's why she's one. The reason every Smurf, every top laner Smurf, if they're in gold, silver, bronze elo, they will always pick Riven because Riven 1v9s because of her E. Her E has like a 1.5 second shield with like a 4 second cooldown late game. So what happens is, if you ever get ahead on this champion, you just 1v9. Nobody can stop you, because you can never die. You feel me? You can out-shield all the damage that's coming in. That's the OP part about Riven, but I don't think Riven is OP. I don't think the champion is OP at all. I think it's just low elos complaining because Riven is the Smurf champion, right? Like all the Smurfs play this. It's the same, all the Smurfs play Yasuo. You use 1v9 with it. You will never see a Smurf go into a game and pick Blitzcrank or pick, I don't know. They're not gonna pick, you know, Lux, for example. They're just gonna pick Yasuo Riven. So what happens is, these low elo redditors, they play their silly little game on their silly little PC, and then they queue up into a Riven who's fucking challenger, and then they're like, what the fuck? And then they go on their silly little Reddit page and they're like, Riven is OP. No, that's not the case. You probably just played against a Smurf. Nobody picks Riven. Champion is dog.
Split pushing is just outclassed by Fiora, Jax, Camille, and other tower takers. It's not because pros don't want to or can't learn fast Q. That comment is literally insulting to professional top laners. They also go on then to say you have to have, quote, StarCraft level clicking to pull off this mechanic. This is also not true. Orb walking as an ADC requires a lot more input than fast Q over a longer duration. They then say that, quote, this isn't...
This video is about the Riven Reddit thread.
about game knowledge, kill thresholds, combos, or things that make most difficult
Some silver soup main probably posted on Reddit. Riven Q animation is too broken.
champions have a high skill gap. To this, I'll rebut with my good friend Alois, a consistent top 10 EUS Challenge Riven player who is regarded as one of the most reputable top laners in the world, not just at Riven. He often jokes on stream that he has grandpa hands compared to mechanical Rivens like Built and Black. But his game sense, matchup knowledge, and wave management are absolute second to none, which is how he succeeds on her. So, now that we know that this post is really nothing to take seriously, let's hear what others have to say. Here's Nemesis. Doesn't really need an introduction, but he's currently ranked 2 in Korea.
So the first round goes from my favorite place, League of Legends subreddit, the good old subreddit where it's filled with bunch of bronzes and silver opinions. You guys know that, right? Alright, where's that? Oh, here, this one, guys. Shout out to Mazim Reddit with the most clueless take I've ever seen in my entire life, okay? Let's read into it. An in-depth look into Riven and why her popularity has been destroyed. Okay, so instead of reading all this take, let me just tell you guys TLDR. This guy is basically saying that Riven has really bad popularity and she used to be way more popular, and that blah blah blah, she's a fun 1v9 carry potential, blah 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 champion. Okay, sure. And he's basically saying that the reason why no one wants to play Riven is because of her animation cancel fast Q. And basically the solution this guy in his brain came to is that Riven is not being played by people because Riot refuses to remove the interaction. I mean, I've never seen a more bronze opinion in my life. Like, this guy should never have an opinion on League because he's beyond clueless if he thinks people are not picking up. Okay, look how ironic this is. In the thread, he states, okay...
Hey, Nemesis, let's bring it down a bit, okay? Let's bring it, come on, Nemesis.
In the thread he states, where is it? No, you don't, this mechanic is done by 10 people. So he's saying that 10 people in the world can use this mechanic, but in the same vein of thought, he says that the reason why people are not playing the champion is because of the mechanic. How does that make any sense, you fucking dumbass? Like, and you know what's the worst part? Okay, fuck it, this guy has a bad opinion? Sure, okay, let him have a bad opinion. Majority of the thread is agreeing. I would 100% pick up Riven if it weren't for exactly what you're talking about. No, little bro, you wouldn't. The reason why you don't pick Riven is because you are dog shit at the game. You do not have hands necessary to click on your keyboard to actually pilot Riven and do mechanics, okay? This is why the game goes to shit, because of people like you crying non-stop. Oh, the game is too hard, the game is too hard. And then Riot removes interactions, makes the game perma too easy, and then people like you also complain, oh, the game is too easy. So fucking ridiculous to read this shit on Reddit. Front page, 1k comments, I go through comments, fully disagreeing with this guy. No, you're dog shit. You don't need to remove mechanics, little bro. If people, majority of Riven players, just like you wrote in the thread, can't even do the mechanic. Riven used to be a popular champion in the past when the mechanic was in the game, okay? The mechanic is not the reason why Riven is not popular now. You dumbass.
After this Reddit post getting traction.
Okay, Nemesis gotta shield down a bit, Jesus. Speaking about it, playing versus Riven right now. Let's hope she won't auto attack animation. cancel. Hope she doesn't do that on me. He's 100% right. Yeah, I mean... But then we come to this point. Are we balancing towards low elo or high elo? Because high elo doesn't have as many players as low elo has. So should Riot balance Riven around majority player base or the lower player base? I think Riot once said that they kinda do both. They try to balance stuff around everything. But you know, this balancing the game is not an easy task. God damn it.
And Froxon replied with this wall of text. Feel free to pause to read this whole thing, but as a TLDR, he says Riven's lower play rate is caused by my aforementioned point, other palatable champions being released. He also says it's valuable to have high skill cap champions in the game, one of which Riven is highly considered. He says they actually wouldn't ship fast queue if it was released today, because it's too much input for a non-transformative output. It's not that satisfying comparative to something that would qualify to ship today. He says they won't be removing it though, because it's so ingrained in the champion, game and players that it would be a disservice to remove. He then says Riven is actually a bit weak and may be seeing changes in other avenues, but it's dicey with preseason around the corner and the item changes that come with it. He rounds it off by saying Riven lacks identity compared to seasons of old. This is something that they're looking to address. He then asked for input. Across the board, myself included, people addressed Riven's real problems, most of which being no identity, her complete lack of priority generation, and her inability to answer armor. Shown on your screen are responses from ex-Riven 1-trick and current pro Revenge, former rank 1 E-West Riven 1-trick build, and former Riven 1-trick rank 1 challenger Thean. Alongside these reasons, her items and build recipes are really shit at the moment, most including multiple ruby crystals, ignoring AD or pen without offsetting spikes, and lackluster mythic items. If basically any top laner that's allowed rushes Tabby, Riven loses all snowball potential out of the lane. Historically, Riven has always been associated with snowballing, but now with durability patch and her bad itemization, any top laner that rushes Tabby instantly neutralizes the lane. Riven's first item spike at Gore Drinker, Hydra, Eclipse or Black Cleaver, whatever you choose, is always heavily outspiked to Fiora Sunderer or Gore Drinker, Jack Sunderer, Camille Sunderer, Alawi Cassante Frozen Fist or Aurelia Blade of the Ruined King. Just point made. Riven also used to invest a lot of gold into cooldown reduction, but nowadays every champ can match it by just going their mythic and running her down anyway. Furthermore, something I've seen
Is that true? Does Riven just lose every 1v1 on one item?
basically no one mentioned yet is Riot actually did try to put a removal on fast Q on PvE like 8 seasons ago. Her auto was tied to begin the second the Q animation buffer allowed. If you watch his mouse here, you can see it never moves, which is the key component of the fast Q being executed, the ground click input.
Holy, that's fast.
Not only was this extremely ugly and ridiculously OP, it felt really bad and was pulled basically immediately. I compiled this script with evidence and input from a lot of other high elo and prevalent Riven players such as Viper, Revenge and Rohan, so I'd love to know your opinion on the issue in the comments below. I am really excited for the preseason changes and removal of mythic items because this could really level the playing field. Anyway, that'll about do us for today. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
That has to be the worst Silas ever. Is this Emma?
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him. Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him. Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
So why you blaming the Scylla's? What did the Scylla's ever do to you?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Oh, I need to fish. Fuck. I picked Jax into Urgot thinking it's a good matchup, but if I remember it correctly, this is unplayable.
Any good fishing spot?
I'm gonna die soon, aren't I? Ah jeez, what am I doing? The good thing with Jax, even if you have bad matchup, you still get free lane. That's the good thing with Jax. Jax can't lose lane, it's impossible. It's kinda like Cyan in a way.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
This guy buys Noodle Magic Mantle on first back. He knew I was going AP or what.
Picked up a few tricks during my wandering. Void form. Unlike the wing pack, crawled out of it. You being the best, well, yeah. Fighting split.
18 months shilling.
Warriors, rulers, gods, they all
Fuck off of me, man. I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling. This guy's no mana though. Gonna keep the blast cone in case I need it for later to escape. Okay, chill. This is the AFK farm. Oh no, no, no. Not my Gromp. That dealt a lot of damage to me. Ow. Got it though.
Oh my
Jesus. I'm out of here. Literally. Oh, they're waiting for Callista. Ooh. I think fights with me, I can carry. It's just hard in the 1v1, I think, because all of my spells are AoE. I'm dead here. I shouldn't go in without face rush. It's Rome. Actually, proxy one wave, then Rome. They're going on me. I need to run down.
Always a reason to keep on keeping on.
Ah, what is so fast? Hi the bows, I read that Swedish gang violence is meta. I hope you're not involved. Asking because of haircut. Not all bald people are gang criminals. What is that? Yeah, flash into death, nice. Holy. Hey. I think I'm just gonna go utility build this game and go for team fights. I need Sonias badly. Her king. Yeah, look at the Silla's name. Her king. Ugh. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
That has to be the worst Silas ever. Is this Emerald?
Yo, why are you blaming the Sillas? What did the Sillas ever do to you? Like, come on, man.
Viewers numero 1 Sui.
My champion is so OP. Jesus, never mind. What the fuck?
Baboos, do you have a favorite book?
A favorite book? I don't know. I haven't read many books in my life, believe it or not. Might come as a shock to you, but I have not read many books in my life. Urgot is still over there. I get inhibitor. Flamed by own team, Lula. As always, Bow's useful more than everyone. Is that flaming? As always, Bow's is just more useful than anyone. I guess he's flaming me. Yeah, let's just fucking go here.
Just look at that Silas. He's always dead before the fight even starts also. He only hits his second E in holidays.
Bro, why are you giving to Silas? Bro, like, give the Silas a break. What's your problem with him? He hasn't done anything to you. Well played, GG. Well played, GG.
Por que eu decidi acabar com a mentoria do meu milhão? O Grupo Primo está crescendo e a cada ano eu assumo novas responsabilidades, eu crio novos negócios, eu fecho novas parcerias. E seria injusto com você se eu dedicasse pouca energia à mentoria. Por isso eu quero colocar um ponto final nesse ciclo. E eu estou dando essa última oportunidade para você entrar na mentoria para aprender a ganhar mais, a gastar bem e investir melhor. Quem entrar nessa última turma vai ter acesso a
Once, you are just going to be permanently bullied out by the
Devemos perfurar seus corações traiçoeiros.
Vamos, família, vamos, caralho. Ai, ele é diferente. Ai, ele é muito diferente. Caralho! Ah! Meu Deus, meu Deus, meu Deus. Ai, toma, pai, toma, canagem, caralho. Cê é louco, o Delight não tá aguentando, rapaziada. Ele não tá, mano. Que é o Brancinho, filho. Tá ali, ó. Ai, caralho! Peguei. Caralho! Que isso? Oh, damn! Damn, peguei! Mano, vocês viram que eu peguei o assist do bagulho só por causa do meu W, velho? Ai, isso daqui se pega. Só preciso saber onde tá a porra da Star, mano. Oh, thank you, boy! Caralho! Vamos, porra! Isso aqui foi no limite da razão, hein, rapaziada. Na moral, velho. Estamos batendo um league. A comp tá boa também. O único medo, um pouco de receio que eu tô é esse Olo ficar essa Oriana, tá ligado? Midgame nas fights. Mas creio que eu vou jogar bem. Faz, tá ligado? Vai ter o Faker rasgando a backline dos caras também. Que eu tô ligado, Faker. Eu tô ligado que tu vai meter essa, pô.
Tu não meteu, eu vou ficar bola na cara, hein, pai?
Pô, os caras tá fedido, não é? Bom, é pra eles estarem. Pô, pior que, tipo assim, eu atraio muita atenção, né, velho? Assim, olha isso, mano. Olha o que os caras estão tentando fazer comigo, velho. E eu só aceitando. Pode vir tentar me macetar, caralho. Quem consegue?
Oi, meu chapa.
Nossa, não desviou. Não, mano, mentira. Pô, não desviar isso daqui foi uma tristeza. Ai, toma gap, porra! Toma gap, caralho! Mano, vocês viram esse passinho meio pro lado? Assim, eu tava batendo parado, aí o momento que ele apareceu na minha tela, eu pulei pro lado, ele ficou fudido. E a gente vai tentar passar aqui, não vou deixar dar. Ai, rapaziada, eu estou dando gap. Meu Deus. Pior, mano, a minha Kalista não tem jeito. Não humilda mesmo. Eu tenho molho de Kalista, pô. Quem confia digita 1. Tô meio nervoso, né, mano? Que eu tô carregando o Faker mais uma vez. Cara, 2 itens já em 14 mil, viado. Eu tô muito na frente, velho. Ok! Vou precisar olhar essa Oriana, hein, mano. GG. Ai, 15 mil com Faker, família? Contra o Delight? É isso mesmo? Dale, rapaziada.
The day that I got to know that I was a Prize Global winner was the best day in my life. The application process includes
12 segundos depois.
Bem me quer, não me quer, mas eu sei que ela me quer.
O medo é uma ilusão.
Caralho! Tô com o Faker! Mandei.
Acelerando de phase, sempre com o bolso lotado. MD na renegade, muito calmo e abusado. Velocidade Mercedes, feito cara e arrumado. Vida de cinema.
Tá, Mac, tá valendo. Caralho, mano, os caras não acertou nada e me daivaram, né, viado? Pelo menos eu peguei uma killzinha, tá, Mac demais. Caralho! Pô, isso aqui é normal? Isso aqui não é normal, né? Isso aqui é normal, gente? Ai, caralho, 2v1, pô. Eita! Ai, Faker, só ele faz isso. Ele vai matar os dois. Meu Deus! Bom, aí trollou. Mano, se eu tivesse W, eu dava aqui, W flash e matava ele. Ai, pô. Queria brincar, fiz merda. Fiz merda, caralho, velho. Vai se foder. Eu queria fazer essa play. Eu queria dar esse Q, só que eu não podia tomar esse W, mano. Se eu não tomar esse W, ia tá neném, viado. Só lei, otário. Ah, velho. Pô, vai tomar no cu desses caras também, né, mano? Ô, vai se fuder, velho. Eu sempre me fodo, né, tentando ajudar os caras, velho. Que isso, guys? Tem uma cena aqui, mano. Eu acho que vou ter que ser o salvador da pátria mesmo, pelo visto. Bora, eu estou pronto para isso. Pode deixar que é o Brace, caralho! Aqui é o pai, porra! Fica, tá tudo bem. Não fica nervoso. Alguém tá comigo, pelo amor de Deus, velho. Carreguei o Faker e olha no que deu, hein, rapaziada. Carreguei, filho. Foda-se. Let's fucking go, guys! Caralho! Mano, respeita, porra. Respeita, caralho. Aqui é bot game guy, porra. Eu não vim aqui à toa, porra. Não vim aqui à toa, mano. É, rapaziada, só temos um problema, né? Eu lembrei que eu não estou gravando. Ou seja, isso aí não vai virar um vídeo. Olha que legal.